Hello, everybody. I'm back. Tyler's here. I'm back. Um, I'm debating. I think today I'm gonna work out at home because I kind of want to get my assignments done and get my shit back on the road. And then, yeah, I think that's mainly what I'm trying to do. But that's regardless of the point. This video is to talk about an anime I've been enjoying a lot lately, and one that I want to share with you guys the joy that I'm having in it right now. And that is Frieren at Journey's End. And oh man, okay, where do I even start? I'd say I'll take it back to my first year of college because around my first year of college, that was when I was finally engaging in more media. I spent my whole life not watching any actual film, but yet when I finally started taking my life more seriously, I watched all the classics. I watched Scarface, I watched Forrest Gump, I watched all that, and of course, I had to catch up on animes too. Um, Oh God. Well, I think at first it was mainly just movies and films that I wanted to keep up with, but then came animes, and at the time it was Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man, and I kept up with both of them, and it was fucking awesome. I loved both of them. But as the years went by, I think it would be like 2 years ago, I'd started hearing about a show called Frieren at Journey's End. And at the time, I was more of a solo leveling guy, so I was really into solo leveling. And because of that, I never gave it a shot because I personally couldn't believe anything would be better than solo leveling. And all due respect, I did not think that something would be better than solo leveling. But I freaking go on my trip with my partner, and just on a whim, I think, okay, I'm gonna download Hunter x Hunter and I'm gonna download Frieren, and I'm gonna see which one I'm gonna like more. And I give Frieren the first shot, and already I'll give more context to the story like later, but just to tell you my experience blindly right now, the first episode I was not sold. I was like, oh, so this is what's going on? Like I was not sold at all on the content whatsoever. But then as the episodes continued on and I found out more and more about the story and the characters, I started becoming more and more invested. I think it was like I got to like episode 6 while on my flight because I also considered sleeping. But I got to episode 6 and I started saying maybe I like this show a little because I started to understand the characters and the world building and the backstory of the characters, and I started really vibing with it. And then I got to the 12th episode, which is now the flight back from Vancouver. And at that exact moment, I think there was an episode where one of the main characters gets his backstories. And I resonated with him so well that I'm like, yeah, I love the show now. So let me provide a bit of context for the story now. So, Frieren at Journey's End stars Mage Frieren, who years ago went on a journey with a party to defeat a demon king, and now is pretty much just a long lost tale. But as all of her previous comrades would pass away, she'd realize that she never got to know them very well. So she'd disembark on a whole new journey to meet with those same people in the afterlife and talk to them and get to know them again while developing an entirely new journey in the process, which already really tied into where I am because ever since like just to get a personal aside here, for the past 17, like from when I was born to 17, I spent my whole life wanting to get friends and live a whole different life than what I was currently living at the time. And I spent about 2 years tops spent like working on that, and now I have what I want. And in some ways, it feels like that journey is now over. That journey has been done for a while, and I've been on a new journey, but I've felt so aimless in my life recently. And I feel as if Frieren right now captures exactly how I'm feeling in life right now, especially with her journey and whatnot as well. Because that initial journey is over for me. That initial journey of me making friends, finding my partner, it's over now. But there's a whole new journey. A journey where I have to prove myself worthy in terms of strength, in terms of endurance, in terms of just patience. There's a lot for me to do. And I feel as if the story perfectly captures where I am in life right now, and it provides a good. It's like a mirror, like a reflection of where I am. And now I might go into more spoiler territory in terms of the characters. So if you're not into that, just either the video ends here or you just zoom past to a certain point in the video. But when it comes to Frieren, immediately as Frieren would find Fern, which is now her apprentice as a mage, I would immediately see my partner in the character, mainly because of her timid nature, as well as her just being a little bit more reserved and quiet. And immediately I took a liking to her and found her cute. as well as the tertiary character Stark, who is now the warrior of this new party that Freeren's developing. Keep in mind as well, all of these new party members are extensions or apprentices or partners of her previous group's members. So Fern would be not a descendant, but was being taken care of by the previous priest of Freeren's party, which I think is called Hyzen. And Stark would be the apprentice of the dwarf Eisen, who was the warrior of the group as well, of the original party. And that already provides more context. Like, okay, how do I say this? Because already Frieren has attachment to all these initial characters. With her now pretty much raising the extensions of her original cast, it feels good. Because it feels like a brand new journey with the same characters. Except those same characters that Frieren has known and loved are now imbued into her current party, which is so sweet. And as you explore, you find people who, just like me in the past, had goals and dreams that they completely dropped out on and didn't prove themselves worthy of. And really, just like what I've been talking about for the past three videos, is that actions will forever speak louder than words. There's one character named Sign, who long ago his buddy went on a journey to become a great warrior, akin to the warriors that Frieren was with in her party 20 years back in the story. And he waits and waits for his friend for 10 years, which is 7 years longer than he said he'd come back for. And he's continuously just sitting on his ass waiting for his friend to come back for him to finally continue his story. But as Frieren comes along, he puts him in his place and makes him realize that if you want to go and get it, you have to do it. You can't just sit around and expect him to come back for you. If you want to go on that journey, you're going to have to go and meet him. He took a courageous risk doing what he did. You're going to have to do the same thing. And that eventually leads Sign to join their party for a moment. And he eventually disembarks because he gets news that his friend's on the opposite road of where they're going. And that already, just a side quest, adds so much detail to a character that was only seen for about 2 to 3 episodes. And that was already enough for me to sell the story to me, because of there just being so much depth within the story. As well as the characters who we already know their backstories of, you get the picture and not picture, but piece together their personalities and whatnot as the show goes through, and they're very well developed. Take, for instance, when Stark and Fern have a very easily implied romantic blooming relationship with one another. They eventually get in an argument with one another because Fern jokingly puts her cold hand on Stark's face, which then shocks him. He does the same thing to Fern. Fern gets upset, and you eventually learn Fern had a very negative experience, I think, with some governmental body who would, I wouldn't say torture her, but definitely did things that made her feel uncomfortable. And as she opens up about this to Frieren, we understand more about her as a character and how Stark takes care of her as a character. And I really appreciate that. I really find it endearing how a character like Stark really adapts himself to better curate himself for Fern's very soft and gentle nature, which I really enjoy. But in any case, it reminds me, again, just back to my own personal side, it reminds me a lot of my old past, of my past. Because to me, I had my old party. I had my old friend group. I had my old journey. But eventually, for me to achieve and go for something different and I'd say better, I would have to leave the people I once called my friends to then meet people who are better supporting me now. And for that, I'm forever grateful for my friends. But that's why I like the show so much. I really relate to Frieren in the sense that sometimes what my friends say or what my friends do or where my friends go sometimes bring back memories of what was. And that's not to say what was good. What I had before was good for what I had. But it's still a sentimental thing for me because these people from my past still hold lots of value to me because they are partially due to no, they are a part of shaping me as a person who I am today. So me getting reminded of them just makes me feel sort of melancholy kind of feeling. And God, I can't describe in words the feelings that Frieren brings to me as I watch each episode. Because really, even though they mostly go on side quests and whatnot, you can see the passage of time through each episode. You can see how many years have passed since um, Frieren's initial party, like the initial party members died. They always make a fact of that in every episode. And you can see them slowly walking across the earth just to get to this point where Frieren can talk with her old companions. And the fact that we're barely even close to it, it goes to show that these journeys take a long time. And oh, here's one more thing I can even mention too. It's that really a year isn't that long if you think about it. To us as humans, a year might feel like forever. But in all honesty, in the grand scheme of things, of us trying to achieve things, a year is not that long. If, like I said in one of my previous videos, is that 10,000 hours is a great way to judge if you become great at something. Easily in 10,000 hours of effort, you become like a master at something. But the point is here is that's exactly what I mean to say, is that in a year's time, you won't ever become a master at something. You may pose as one and you may look like one, but you will never be a master. You'll only ever be a master if you dedicate maybe 5 to 10 years to a craft or something. Like that's why Frieren's story is so potent, because Frieren as an elf, I never elaborated on this, but Frieren as an elf lives for thousands of years, while obviously humans can only live till around 80. So that alone to her makes relationships futile, because what's the point of getting connected to someone who's just going to die, you know? But to someone like Frieren, a year might feel like a day. It might just feel like a day. Like one time she stops by an old companion of hers and she goes, "Let's spend a decade here." Like just casually, not realizing a decade is a long time to a human, but to her it's not a long time at all. It's almost like a week. But in any case, oh God, I don't know. But really what it comes down to is if you want to do anything in life, it's going to take a long time. And the only people that ever make it to do anything ever are the ones who, not even if you're committed as much, even if you put 0.1% of effort in every day, as long as you're the one that shows up for the longest, then you're going to be the one to make it. Like I literally saw a video yesterday. This is completely off topic, but saw a video yesterday of Quentin Tarantino. He spent 8 years as an underground, just I guess you could say, I don't want to say indie director, but just director, non-mainstream director. And he spent 8 years constantly going at it. And you'd think anyone with a reasonable mind would say, yeah, this isn't for me after maybe the year mark, or literally 3 to 5 years. But it's those 8 years that he spent working that he eventually would produce Reservoir Dogs and get him all the critical acclaim he deserves. And just then, he would finally produce, I think it would be now his 9 films in a row. I'm still waiting on his 10th. I don't know what his 10th would be. I don't know if that was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I'm not too sure. My point is that someone like him spent all this time working on something that he believed in, and then he finally achieved it. But to the average person, that might seem preposterous. And that's why me bringing this up in terms of Frieren is that Frieren dedicates herself to a goal completely. Even one of the characters says that I have to put I have to put value on Frieren's words. I have to believe in Frieren's words. And the second he does, because at this point, there's like a boss monster they have to take down because it's killing all of her party members or putting her party members to sleep. And he's concerned that Frieren won't know about what to do. So he trusts in Frieren, wakes her up, and Frieren immediately kills the monster and knows exactly what to do. And that goes to show that someone like her, you need to put trust in the process. You need to put trust in yourself that you can make it, but you have to be patient. And I think that's also something Frieren really discusses as well, very well, is that it's patience. But besides that, I'll be planning to finish the entire show in about a week now. And I'll probably give a comprehensive review of Season 1 there. But this is basically a video of me talking about what I like about Frieren so far. In any case, I'm glad to be discussing this with you guys. Like, comment, subscribe if you liked the video. I love y'all. Peace out.